Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So last time in the last video about languages, I gave you guys 3 foundations to learn languages the fastest and easiest way. So those foundations for language learning were motivation, which equals interest, and believe, especially believe in yourself, in your ability to be able to learn. And the third one was let go of any fear. So basically courage. Yeah, so today I'm going to give you practical ways to learn as to how I learned. So maybe these ways can help you guys also, and let's get started. The first thing that you really need to do is get into your grammar. There's like no way around. I know grammar can be hard to learn, especially if you're learning a language that is quite grammatical and it's a bit harder to learn. For example, let's say German. I know German is compared to, for example, Spanish, a more difficult language to learn. Also French, for example, because it's quite grammatical, but still there's no way around. I have a friend who's like, she's so eager to learn English, but she doesn't want to learn the grammar. She's like, oh, I get bored easily. And I'm like, there's no way. You're not going to learn a thing if you don't have the base and the foundation. And the foundation is the grammar. So there's no way around it. You have to learn and study the grammar. So also when you're self-studying, basically what you can do is get a book, self-study book, and really get into that grammar, do exercises, because grammar with exercises goes together also to learn. Yeah. The second thing I would suggest is surrounding yourself with that type of language. That means in form of either music, film, any kind of thing you can get your hands on that will really improve your language listening skills. That thing you should do. So for example, let's say when I first started out learning Portuguese, because Portuguese was really the first language I learned by myself, like with no teacher, no classes, nothing, just by myself. So I bought a couple of books which came with a CD, grammar book and then textbooks. So the grammar book I studied so much. In the beginning I studied like for maybe 1 or 2 months, just pure grammar. So I really wanted to have that base, that foundation, because I knew I couldn't just study or learning by listening to songs or something. Well, you can start that way, but this way will definitely be harder. But if you start like learning the grammar, getting the foundation right, then you're good to go. So I got the grammar right, and then after that grammar I went on to the textbook, and the textbook got like exercises, text, which puts you in different kind of situation. On also listening, it improves your listening skills, your speaking skills. So then with the listening skills, I also started listening to music. Music is really a thing that helps. I don't know if it helps everybody, but that's the main thing that helped me so much. Once I got the grammar right, I got into reading, and then I got into listening. When you listen, you get in all the words. It's like soaking up all the vocabulary. It's basically like a kid. Children, before they start speaking, the first thing they do, the first year or year and a half, the first thing they do is soak up every word, all the words they're surrounded by, they hear day by day, every day. So this is what they do, and then they start coming up with words themselves. So this comes from their surrounding, what they hear. So really, if you listen, you get a lot of vocabulary into you, and after that you can like start to use that vocabulary yourself. So this is what I did, because I was really interested in Brazilian music, for example. So I started listening to songs and printing out the lyrics to the songs and singing along with the songs. So I was like, oh, okay, this word means this, and that word means this. And once I improved my listening skills, I also could like sing along with songs. And then I started watching movies a lot, like watching any kind of telenovela. And I also did that when I was learning Spanish. I was watching TV so much. I don't even like watching that much TV, but I knew that this was a way to help me, because I would watch TV, and basically when you listen, what you do is imitate afterwards. You get in the words, and afterward you spit them out. It's just like babies do. So they imitate basically the sounds that they hear, the sounds they soaked up before. This is what they imitate afterwards. So this is basically what you're doing as well when you're listening. That's why most people are saying like they have an easier time understanding a language, but the harder work is when it comes to speaking and employing vocabulary yourself. So if you don't train that, then you won't get anywhere either. So the first thing is you listen, and the second thing is working on that vocabulary to get it out again. This can happen, yeah, with music, films, with subtitles, for example. What I recommend is really watching, for example, movies or series that you already know, so you kind of already know the storyline. And once you know the storyline, it's easier for you to understand. So you know, okay, in this section, this and this happened. So this is approximately what they're saying. And you can watch like movies in your original, in the language that you're learning, with subtitles also in that. This was also a thing that I did all the time. I watched movies in that language. I watched series. And then once I was fine with the subtitles, I left them out even sometimes. But if you're not comfortable in the beginning, you can just keep the subtitles, and once you're like comfortable with the vocabulary and everything, then you can watch series without subtitles. But this is really a thing that helps so much. And in music, like, I do recommend it. For example, also kids, when they learn something, most of the times they learn in form of music, because music gets into your brain like easy. Quite often you can remember easier a song lyric than anything else, really. So that's why I recommend listening to music so much. All the time I tell my friends, like, listen to music, listen. And once they start, they're like, yes, they're like, you're right. I now know what this word means and this word means. And I'm like, I told you, because once you listen to music, you memorize the words, you memorize the vocabulary. And once you have that, you have the base, you have the vocabulary. Once you memorize, for example, the vocabulary, you know, and you hear it the next time someone's saying it, and you're like, oh, I know that word, that's in my song, and that means this and that. So this is the way how you acquire more and more vocabulary in an unconscious way. And that's the nice thing about music, and also about film, about listening. So that tip was really long, but that's an important tip, because that's really what helped me. Whenever my Brazilian friends, for example, ask me, how did you learn Portuguese by yourself? I basically watch telenovelas, like up and down, like so many. I listen to music the whole time, and this is really what got me like learning it that fast. And what I would also do when I would watch movies or series is basically imitate the accents of the actors. I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's basically also what babies do. And acquiring language learning, words, their language, they imitate their surroundings, as I said. So once you watch movies, you listen to songs, you basically imitate, you sing along, you imitate the accents, the words, how people pronounce certain words. This is what gets you learning, and gets you also sensitive to vocabulary, especially in Brazilian Portuguese. The reading has nothing to do with the speaking. The pronunciation differs so much oftentimes from the spelling of the word, of how from the written word. So since I had difficulties with this in the beginning, but when I started watching the series and telenovelas and listening to the music, and this is what really got me like sensitive to the pronunciation. For me, was the easiest way to catch the accent. And I even up to now hear like people telling me like, your accent, like you don't really have an accent. So I do think that I have an accent because everybody has an accent, I think, but still it's really like minimized because this is what I do. This is my technique. I imitate the sounds, the pronunciations. So this is what I do. So, and one thing, I have a funny story to that because I was working in an American restaurant, and there was like a couple looking at me, staring at me, and I didn't know why. So I went up to them, I served them, and there were like one girl, she was like with her boyfriend, she was like, excuse me, can we ask you something? She's like, the whole time we've been trying to figure out like where you're from. And that was so funny because she wasn't the first. She was like, your accent, like we can't figure out like where you're from. It's like a mix of everything. It's like from nowhere. And that's basically it, because I imitate so much that I really adapt my accent to the surroundings. So that happens to me. I like catch myself doing that unconsciously, but a lot of times I will. My next practical tip is basically to go out there and speak what you acquired. The vocabulary that you acquired, it won't help you, it won't serve if you don't use it. And using it, when you speak, you need to make mistakes in order to learn from, because nobody, like kids too, when kids first start off speaking, they make mistakes, and that's how and then the parents, for example, correct them and say, well, this word is pronounced this way, or this way, this word you say it this way and not like that. And you see, kids learn from that, and this is how you learn too. So once you acquire vocabulary and grammar, you need to speak, because I know so many people, they know grammar in and out, they have the vocabulary, they can write text, like they can write stories, everything, but once they have to speak, it won't come out. So that's the thing, like when you speak, you use everything that you acquired before, and you learn from mistakes, basically. That's it. So that's why I said last time, it's so important to let go of fear to speak, because so many people are like embarrassed or ashamed to speak, to make mistakes, but you just have to let that fear go, because you just have to speak. And I, up till now, I always tell my friends, like when I speak Spanish or when I speak whatever language I do speak, I always tell them, like, in case like I make mistakes, correct me. I don't have any problems with you correcting me, because this is the way, I know this is the way I'm gonna learn, and this is the only way I'm gonna learn. If I have a friend and I'm speaking French with her and I'm making mistakes all the time, and she's there, she understands me, but she's basically not correcting me, this won't help me, because this won't help me grow in my language. So that's why I always tell my friends all the time, please correct me if I'm making mistakes. Correct me. Like, I don't mind if you correct me. I really want it. Speak, and even though you make mistakes, that's a good thing, because you will learn from those mistakes, and really let that fear go. So those are like my 3 main practical tips as to how to learn languages. The easiest and fastest way. This was the easiest and fastest way for me. I hope for you it will also help in some way. Maybe like the foundation that I gave last time, I think those are like, if you don't have one of them, I think you cannot really succeed. But the practical tips are basically for everybody, are different, but those tips help really help me, so I think they can also help you. And I thank you guys so much for watching, and please comment down below and let me know what kind of tips you have for language learning, or if you are currently learning a language, what language you're learning and how long, and what just in general, what kind of tips you have for language learning, because I know it's different for everybody, and I'm really interested in getting to know other language tips. And I thank you so much for watching. Now please thumbs this video up, share it, because it might help somebody. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.